Hello. See what that way. Let's see what the next one has for us. Ooh, from the roof. Looks good, although, yep, that took it a minute for the game to catch up with that one, but does look really nice. All right, let's get to the question. Question number 4. These questions are 50 questions Mormons can't answer, and I am giving you the answer to them. Okay, some advice, just, completely off topic. If you ever come across anything online that says something that this group can't answer, 9 times out of 10, there are answers to the things that they have listed. It's in the nature of things just to presume that, your opponent already, can't answer the questions you ask when, in fact, they're oftentimes very basic questions. Anyway, going off on the tangent there. Question number 4. If Brigham Young was a true prophet, how come one of your later prophets overturned his declaration which stated that the black man could never hold the priesthood in the LDS Church until after the resurrection of all other races? Journal of Discourses, December 12, 1854, 142 to 143. So, there's a lot to break down with this one, so I'm going to kind of divide it into parts and tackle each one individually. So first and foremost is their use of the word declaration. While technically a correct usage of the word, it is a bit misleading. So the church will often issue declarations, which are basically just a communication, statement of purpose to the world, however you want to see it, but it's official church declarations to the world. That's a very official, very, church thing to do. Now, Brigham Young's Journal of Discourses were not declarations, at least not in that same sense. They were some declarative sentences, certainly, but it's not official church declarations. And I think I've mentioned this before. So, a prophet is a person too. So when they, when they're not receiving prophecy or speaking directly for the church, it's their own opinion, and that's kind of how you have to approach all the Journal of Discourses, is they're stating their opinion in certain cases, and that's very much the case here, which was what they were talking about. So let's move on to what he actually declared. He did not declare that a black man could never hold the priesthood. If I'm remembering the context correctly, I could be mistaken, but he had stated, I believe he had been asked by someone previous to his journal discourse that he made, when will a black person be able to hold the priesthood? And he basically gave a statement like, not until this, and this happens. I believe the original statement had him saying something along the lines of, when all the tribes bow down before the Lord, or something like that. It was, very, very Old Testament coaching of terms is what he used, if I remember correctly. But basically what that boils down to, that was basically his opinion, and 2, he really didn't know the answer. At least that's what I get from his answer he gave. He never said that black men could never hold the priesthood. He just simply said, they won't be able to hold the priesthood until this happens, or a really long time from now. So, considering that black people did not get the priesthood until 1979, that's 125 years after he made the statement. So, yeah, a long time in the future is a fair statement. So, like I said, that's just was his opinion that he was expressing then. However, I think, there's another thing to unpack, which is what it said. How did a later prophet, if Brigham Young thought black people can't hold the priesthood, if that was the inspiration he received from God, why would a later prophet overturn that? Yeah, this is a couple of complex answers, but let me put it in let me phrase it in Old Testament terminology. So, Joseph, son of Israel, brought his entire family into Egypt. He was a prophet of the Lord. He received the inspiration to bring, his family, which was the house of Israel, into Egypt. That was what he received. 400 years later, this upstart Moses took them out of Egypt. What had changed? Well, in the meantime, the Pharaoh who knew and respected Joseph died, and a Pharaoh that did not recognize the house of Israel, did not respect Joseph, took over, and children of Israel spent 400 years being slaves to the Egyptians. So yeah, during Joseph's time, the inspiration from the Lord was 100% correct, that his family should go into Egypt. 400 years later, what the Lord told Moses was to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt, because they were slaves and it was time for them to leave. So the thing is that when the Lord speaks to a prophet directly, he is telling them what is needful for them right then and there. It is the best advice he can give them. It's best inspiration, best advice is given to the prophets of the times. So a prophet, 100 years after, another prophet may say something completely different because the situation has completely changed. The Lord himself does not change, but people change, situations change, and so the inspiration will change, will be vastly different. And going to go into further detail about really, and we're kind of straying into ground that is basically the gospel according to VG philosophy, gospel according to me, as opposed to actual church doctrine, but this is what I personally believe about this situation. So, in Joseph Smith's time, the state of Missouri pretty much made it legal to kill members of the church, drove them out of the state, killed Joseph Smith. They did all this horrible stuff, and at least a part of the reason wasn't so much their religious beliefs, but the belief that slavery was wrong. That was the reaction of people around them in Missouri at that time, in, the mid-19th century, was slavery is good, we want to keep our slaves, these upstart Mormons want to get rid of our slaves, so, we're not going to treat them very well, we're not going to respect them, and that was a part of the reason why they were driven out of the state, why it was made legal to kill them. All that bad stuff happened. So at that time, clearly the people, the citizens of the United States, all the white people were not ready for the black race to have the same privileges. We're not ready for them to receive the priesthood. And it took more than 100 years until kind of the civil rights movement had been well underway for them to be prepared to accept black people as their equal. So it was, at least according to me, it was not so much that the black people were not deserving of receiving the priesthood or having the same rights, but it was that white people weren't ready to give them all the same rights. And it was, a decade after civil rights before they received the priesthood, and I fervently and honestly believe that it was all that time, that 100+ years, was preparing the rest of us to accept black people as equals and accept giving them all equal treatment, including the priesthood. And that was why that's why they didn't have the priesthood to begin with. That's why the Declaration wasn't given. Like I said, this is actually down to my personal opinion, and yeah, I don't know of any specific reason. The only reason I know of given by the church at the time was that the Lord had said it is the right time. That is the extent of what I think the church said in explaining why they were now receiving the priesthood. So, yeah, I know this is a very sensitive topic, and I've tried to handle it as sensitively and as accurately as I could. So hopefully, yep, I will have made it very well understood. This is a very, yeah, complex topic. Like I said, I think there was, 4 separate things I talked about in answering just one question. So it's a hugely complex topic. To summarize kind of the original thing, Brigham Young did not make an official church declaration about when black people would receive the priesthood. His comment was actually taken a bit out of context. And, you know, if the Lord speaks to prophets speak for the Lord, and they apply to the people now, not how the people were 100 years ago. So, you know, if one prophet says something different than a prophet from 100 years earlier, it's because the situation and the people have changed. So that's the video. I hope I explained it really well, or well enough anyway. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. What do you think of this rooftop video? I actually kind of like it. I like seeing the trains go past, like we are now with that red train. Anyway, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. I will see you in the next video. Bye.